Look at what's replacing us on the college campuses. Look at the brainwashing that's going on with our corrupt media. And, this woke nonsense, it's in law. We talked about Bragg and other DAs. It's in medicine, where you have the Hippocratic Oath now has to acknowledge white supremacy.
We, the students of the University of Minnesota Twin Cities Medical School class of 2026, we commit to uprooting the legacy and perpetuation of structural violence deeply embedded within the healthcare system. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression.
I'm a history buff, Paul, and I ask this to people all the time. I say after in Germany in the mid-30s all the way to the end of World War II, and Hitler was the most powerful person. He was the chancellor of Germany. I ask people, I say, who do you think the second in charge, the second most powerful person in Germany was? And they'll think of some, I don't know, they'll think of a German, a general. They think in military terms. Well, if Hitler has such a strong military and he presents himself as a military officer in his uniform, no, it was Goebbels, Joseph Goebbels, the minister of propaganda. And Germany knew in the mid-30s that they had to whip their countrymen into a feverish belief that the world was against Germany and Germany was in the right. And they knew the importance of having that propaganda and getting it out there, controlling the message that nobody presented harm or issue to Germany. When Germany rolled into Poland, all the Germans believed that Poland was going to roll into Germany. You see, we cut Poland off before they came to us. And that's how they got the fighting machine. And that's how they got the people to get behind what it is that Germany wanted to do. The same thing's happening now, Paul. History is repeating itself.
I know. Joseph Goebbels, yeah, he made 2 films. One was called The Eternal Jew. And in that film, Jews were portrayed as evil, subhuman, and didn't deserve the right to live, to exist.
Sure.
And I put out a video comparing a lot of the similarities. I always say Nazi Germany did not start with the cattle cars. It started with the demonization of one particular group of people,
sure.
And nobody really spoke out about it. If you look at the similarities of what Joseph Goebbels was saying and how it wasn't just accepted, it was embraced, you're doing the same thing today about another particular race, and we're not allowed to mention it. I don't know if you saw the new trailer. I don't even know if the movie's out yet. The American Society of Magical Negroes. I put it on my channel. It was, they say, as a joke, what is the most dangerous animal on the planet? While he's standing in front of a poster of a great white shark. And he says, I don't know, a shark? And he said, no, white people.
I know you can feel their discomfort, Aaron. Watching you walk through a room full of white people was the most painful thing I've ever seen.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I want to take you to a job interview.
There's a recruiting class starting right now, and we got to get you in it.
Welcome to the American Society of Magical Negroes.
I don't really understand.
It's easier to say. What's the most dangerous animal on the planet?
Shark.
White people, when they feel uncomfortable. White people feeling uncomfortable precedes a lot of bad stuff for us. That's why we fight white discomfort every day. Because the happier they are, the safer we are.
And that's supposed to be humor, and nobody's supposed to complain about it. In Germany, you had signs that say, Jews can't swim in our pools. Jews not wanted, Jews not welcome. Well, what did Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, just do? Here's a party. Whites are not welcome. Whites are not allowed. You have Lori Lightfoot saying that she will no longer give interviews when she was mayor to people who are white.
Now, this is just a stunning story. Democratic Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she's catching heat for apparently deciding to only grant interviews to black or brown journalists. Several local Chicago reporters are raising the issue, and now Mayor Lightfoot herself is stating in a series of tweets, quote, "It's a shame that in 2021, the City Hall press corps is overwhelmingly white in a city where more than half of the city identifies as Black, Latino, AAPI, or Native American. Diversity and inclusion is imperative across all institutions, including media. In order to progress, we must change. This is exactly why I'm being intentional about prioritizing media requests."
You have Bank of America requiring down payments only from white people. You don't need it if you're a minority. You have the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, given out on a point system. People who are obese or have COPD or other health issues are moved up the ladder. But if you're white, they deduct points.
Never in American history, modern history in any case, has the federal government made it official policy to withhold life-saving medical treatment from Americans on the basis of their skin color. But that's exactly what the CDC did. Those most likely to die of COVID had to wait weeks until their vaccines were approved. How many of them died in the meantime as they waited? No one kept track of those numbers because nobody seemed to care. And because nobody cared, the trend continued. Race had become a deciding factor in the distribution of critical health care in this country. Several states made it explicit. Whites would go last in the COVID vaccine queue, regardless of need. The state of Vermont did this, so did the state of Montana. The FDA provided guidance for physicians in all 50 states, telling them how to determine which patient should get this treatment, this critical treatment. Physicians, the FDA explained, should consider, quote, race and ethnicity as they administer treatments. And so physicians are doing that across the country. In Utah, COVID patients are triaged by a scoring system that determines whether or not they qualify for these potentially life-saving antibody treatments. Look at this chart. It shows the scoring system. You'll notice that race often counts more than physical health. The state of Utah, for example, gives 2 points to anyone simply for not being white. You win if you're not white. If you have congestive heart failure at the same time, you get 1 point. So if you're a white congestive heart failure patient, that's not enough for you. It's the same story in Minnesota. Minnesota awards 2 points to so-called BIPOC patients. That means anyone who's not white. If you have high blood pressure and you're 60 years old, you get 1 point. So tough luck for you. Imagine if that was one of your parents. It is one of someone's parents. In New York, writes Aaron Sabarium in a shocking new piece for the Washington Free Beacon, quote, racial minorities are automatically eligible for scarce COVID-19 therapeutics regardless of age or underlying conditions. It doesn't matter what kind of health they're in. All that matters is their skin color. Whites don't qualify. This is not health care. It's punishment. It's punishment meted out on the basis of skin color. Now, the justification for all of this, and the authorities could not be clearer about it. They've taken their ideas directly from America's colleges. They'll tell you why they're doing this. The justification is history. The United States has mistreated racial minorities in centuries past, they say. Therefore, whites must suffer now. So your ancestors did bad things, or people who looked like your ancestors did bad things. So now we're withholding medicine from you. They call this equity. It's not equity. It is collective punishment. It's the North Korean standard. It's the definition of evil. And in case you're wondering that's actually what it is, consider this. A young Haitian man could cross our border illegally today. Many have. That person could show up at a clinic in New York tomorrow for COVID treatment and get preference over an elderly American citizen purely because of his appearance. Think about that. The Haitian has not suffered from systemic racism in America, whatever that is. He just got here, but he goes to the front of the line anyway. Now, that's not a criticism of the Haitian. It's not his fault. He didn't make the rules. But the Americans who did make the rules clearly didn't make them on the basis of public health. They made them in an effort to hurt a specific group of Americans, and they're succeeding. This is happening everywhere, even in places you would never expect it to happen. Watch as this man talks to an employee at a Texas medical facility to find out exactly what their policies are.
So I'm not gonna be able to get it today? Because I don't qualify?
Yeah.
What if I like smoke and vape? I heard that was
Negative.
No? Okay. But if I were black and Hispanic, then I'd be able to qualify?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm being denied medical service because of my race, is that?
That's the criteria.
So you can't get life-saving drugs from the government of Texas if you're the wrong color.
Farm aid. Biden is very proud of giving out farm aid based on color. Hurricane relief. White people, you heard Kamala Harris say it, even though your house is destroyed and someone else's house is destroyed and you live on the same block, we're not going to give you the same amount of money because we're all assuming that you started from the same point. So even hurricane relief was given out based on race.
Kamala Harris picking the wrong time to go woke after Hurricane Ian wreaked havoc on Florida. The monster storm destroying entire cities, causing tens of billions of dollars in damage. Dozens are dead and more than 500,000 Americans are still without power. But somehow the VP is using this tragedy to push her radical ideology.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions. We have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities.